Welcome to the Business Behind the Game, where we break down the business side of sports, from emerging trends to the people and companies shaping the industry today. I'm Kushag, and today we have a really exciting guest, Pietra Sablic. She's a director of events at Made Hoops, and where she's driving girls basketball engagement and mixing in her passion for sport, community, and brand. Before we start today, Pietra, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too, and I'm really excited to get this started.
Awesome. Me too.
Let's start off with your background. First of all, how did you first get involved in the sports world, and what was the path that led you here now?
So until I went to college, I went to all-girls school my whole life, and I started managing JV basketball in high school, honestly, to get out of gym class. All of my friends played on the team, and I just wanted to get out of gym, so I started managing there, and obviously had a very authentic start to my career through that. But after that, I ended up going to Tulane for college and I started managing on the men's side there. So kind of got best of both worlds of experience on the girls and the guys side. And then my last semester of college, I started interning with Made Hoops and I got hired as an assistant post grad. And 3 months later, they asked me to be their director of girls events, and here I am. So yeah.
Yeah. And was there like a specific moment where you realized you wanted to do something in sports business, like maybe shifting from like from a player in a sport to like seeing how you can take your interest as a sport into the sports business world?
I honestly never played basketball. Like I started through managing. I just fell in love with the energy around basketball and sport itself. And I came into college during kind of at the end of COVID in 2021. And so it was a super interesting dynamic. And I kind of decided that I didn't want to go into sports at that time.
Yeah.
I was studying political science and communication, and going into my junior year, I realized that I missed being around basketball. And so that's when I started managing, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I
Yeah.
think that it wasn't exactly like anything that happened, but just kind of a moment that I was like, why did I kind of leave that in the dust instead of pursuing it? And here I am.
Yeah, definitely. I've been playing basketball a lot of my life too, and I think the energy is a really big part of it and makes the game like really enjoyable. And now, like kind of shifting over to your current role, for those who aren't like familiar, can you please talk about like what Made Hoops does and a little bit of basically what they do?
Yes. So Made Hoops is a grassroots organization, and we host really high level basketball tournaments, camps, and circuits across the country. Our focus is really on bringing in elite talent and coaches. And we also really focus on giving that exposure to up and coming basketball players, especially in the age right now of social media and NIL and all of those things that have become super important in getting scouted and things like that. So our scouting services and our media is super, super important to us, and giving athletes the platform to get seen and eventually get recruited.
Yeah, is there anybody special or any like really high level talents you've got to interact with personally yourself?
Not personally since I just started working at Made Hoops, but I mean, at Tulane, I started when I was managing. I got to be with Sion James, who played at Tulane and then played at Duke and now plays on the Charlotte Hornets. And then at Made Hoops, we have like an insane list of alumni. Like Cooper Flagg has played for us, AJ Devancia, like all of those players have gone through Made events and circuits, etc. So. Yeah, definitely cool opportunities that made.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I love seeing those guys on social media, but it's even better to just see them in person as well.
Yeah.
Now, shifting more to your role, what is like a typical day for you look like as an event director in Made Hoops?
Yeah, so honestly, every day is different, especially right now. We're kind of focusing on building out the entire girls vertical of the company. In the past, like they've had girls tournaments, but kind of as a side note instead of it being an intentional and really building out the girl side. So there are a lot of conversations going on right now around our marketing, our content, and the overall vision that we have for the girl space. And but no matter what, every single day I'm reaching out to teams and coaches across the country, making connections, learning about them and their stories, and kind of figuring out what's missing in the market so we can fill in those gaps for young athletes. And then obviously on events, on weekends where we have events, I'm there and managing the relationships, running the event, etc.
Yeah, you talk a lot about like making connections, like and managing relationships between sports and the agents and players. Throughout your job, like you've definitely met a lot of people and people from either every day in your work life or people who you meet at other events. What do you think is like the key to making like authentic and long-term connections?
I know, I mean, it definitely sounds super cheesy, and everyone says it, but just being you and showing up authentically, I think is very important. If you genuinely care about and believe in the work that you're doing in sports, it really comes naturally. I find myself on the phone talking to these coaches for 30 minutes about what I want to do and what I see for the future of the girls' game. And I don't even realize that I'm talking with them for that long, but it just happens. The sports world is really full of so many stories and people that are just trying to give those opportunities to their kids and others. And so connecting with them and their goals is super important because it allows them to feel the energy and authenticity that you're bringing to the table. And when they feel like they can rely on you and put their trust in you, you automatically build a long-lasting relationship with them as long as you follow through on your word. And so part of it is honesty, and the other part is just caring and being there for them.
Yeah, and also following up on that, how do you keep these connections for a long periods of time? Because obviously, for a lot of times, if you have an event, you might just interact with them once to get talk to the
Yes.
player or something like that. But how do you keep it so you can kind of communicate them with them pretty often and have like a long-term relationship with them?
I mean, especially for programs that kind of come to a bunch of our events, I'm seeing them in person a lot. And then in between, right? Like I'll call them and just ask them, how are your kids doing? How is work? Like all of those types of questions to kind of connect with them on a personal level. At the end of the day, like you're not going to be best friends with everyone that you're working with, obviously, but those real relationships that you have and the ability to connect with them is super important. And so just chatting with them on the phone or in person is super important, and knowing those little details about them that make them special makes them feel special. So, yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I mean, especially with the podcast and stuff, where I meet like a lot of people, it's always like hard to maintain a long term relationship with them. And now
definitely.
shifting like a little bit over into the industry. In your view, is there like any exciting developments in the sports business or industry that you've seen?
I mean, I'm working in women's sports and like I just graduated college in May 2025. So I'm very lucky to be coming in at a time when there's such a boom in women's basketball and women's sports in general. So with, the increases in viewership and obviously revenue that comes with that, female athletes are getting the recognition that they've been deserving for a really long time. And I'm really grateful to be experiencing that shift. And I'm even luckier to be able to push forward the game and help these young girls achieve their dreams of making it to the WNBA or playing internationally or whatever it may be. And even if those kids don't end up, playing professionally, sports, especially basketball, is super important for developing a kid both on and off the court. So, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think the biggest shift has been like, and what do you think the biggest like player or like what do you think, yeah, what was the key to the shift in like increased viewership and increased media coverage of women's basketball? Because as I've been following basketball throughout these past couple of years, like I've definitely seen an increase of women's basketball viewership. So what do you think was the key to that?
Definitely. I mean, I think all of us know it really started with college basketball with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all of them. And obviously, like there have been amazing players in the W and in college for a really long time. But there was just this boom at the same time that these like really talented athletes were coming into the light. So I think a combination of different factors, and I think that even basketball viewership in general, right? People who are watching the NBA and men's college ball, et cetera, kind of were asking for this new thing that they could focus on too. So putting all those factors together, it kind of just made the perfect storm, and here we are.
Yeah, and also I saw a couple years ago in the All-Star game they brought in Sabrina Ionescu as well. So I
Love
think
her. I'm a Liberty fan, so yeah,
that was a really big part as well. So
definitely.
Yeah, and also following up on that, how do you think like the athlete's role is evolving the into the business landscape? Like, do you think you're going to see more professional athletes become business owners themselves, like during or after their career?
So I think I mentioned earlier a little bit, but there have been a lot of developments with the boom of social media and NIL and all of those types of things. So athletes have definitely had a much bigger role in shaping the business side of sports, whether that's marketing or having their own business or whatever it might be. They're not just competitors on the field or the court or the track. They have the ability to be those influencers, be those marketers and those business owners. And I think that athletes are also realizing that their playing careers don't last forever a lot of the time because of the physical toll that comes with it. And so building that personal brand for themselves, that's a huge thing that people are talking about more recently. I think Angel Reese is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
And doing that sets them up for success well into the future. And so because of all of that, I think that we'll definitely keep seeing a growth in athletes turning into business ventures and opportunities as a way to keep building their brands beyond the game that they're playing.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously they can't play forever. And what do you think is like another reason for them to get into business endeavors? Because obviously, like first of all, they can't play forever. And usually athletes' jobs aren't as long lasting as like engineers or other people in the workforce. What do you think are other reasons for them to get into endeavors, like regardless of them, especially in the NBA, MLB, NHL, and all those leagues, they're making a lot of money throughout their career itself, like generational wealth. But what do you think is like another reason for them to get into business endeavors?
I mean, personally, I try to look at it from like an impact side of things. So obviously they're already making a lot of money that in many cases sets them up for their lives at the end of the day. But by being an athlete, you automatically have eyes on you for the rest of your life most of the time. Like people care about what you're doing and the ideas that you're bringing to the table. And so I think personally, having that type of impact is something that needs to be harnessed and used for good, whether that's something that you're doing on the business side of things or in a community or things like that. I think that it's more about the impact that you're having on who you're interacting with and who's watching you.
Yeah, is there any athlete which stood out to you? Because I know, like, first of all, I think Steph Curry has the Eat, Learn, Play
Yep.
Foundation. Is there any athlete which has stood out to you, who's like really used their popularity and voice to help others?
Honestly, that's exactly who I was gonna say. Like Steph Curry is like the best example in my opinion. Super family oriented, community oriented, etc. And I mean he recently cut with Under Armour, but all of the camps that they were putting together and the opportunities that they gave to kids to get trained and like be around Steph Curry at the end of the day, like one of the greatest shooters that we've experienced. And I think that he is aware of the impact that he has and the eyes that he has on him, especially by those young kids.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an example that a lot of other athletes should be following. And I think that it's becoming more and more like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool because even though he changed the game, he still has lots of other things which he can do with his voice as well. And now I want to shift over to some of the challenges that you faced throughout your career and just your journey overall. What do you think has been like the toughest part of your journey so far, and what was the biggest takeaway, or what did you learn from that specifically?
So obviously I'm a woman and I'm a woman stepping into a super male dominated field. And I mean, a lot of women will talk about it, but it's definitely been a learning curve for me in understanding how to hold my own and be super confident in every room that I walk into, no matter who's in there.
Yeah,
So as a manager at Tulane, I was the only girl in the room at any given point. And like the other managers, the staff, and obviously the players were all men. And I purposefully, like when I was looking to manage, I decided to go to the men's team instead of the women's team because I wanted to put myself in a position to learn how to navigate those environments before stepping into the workforce. And I have to say, it definitely gave me like so much confidence and insight into what I'm going to experience and what I'm experiencing now. And so I mean, I've been very lucky to be around super supportive and amazing people, whether that's men or women, but I've learned definitely a lot in the male-dominated rooms that I've been in and how to be myself.
Yeah, definitely. How do you think that's like shaped your career today? Because right now you're working with like the girls' events, so obviously there's significantly less like men in the room. But how do you think that's like shaped your career today? Just working with the girls, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that I went to all girls school my whole life basically kind of instilled in me this equality side of things and pushing for women to have those rights and the same opportunities, if not better opportunities. And taking all that I learned from the male space has kind of always been my goal is to learn and grow in the male space and then be able to take what I learn and apply it to the women's space and be able to grow it in the same way. Obviously men and women interact very differently, and that's something that I'm learning right now is I'm able to connect on a different level with the coaches, with the program directors, with whoever I'm talking to in the female space because they understand what I'm doing on a different level than men do. But there are still a lot of men that are on the women's side, and so learning how to make those balances. And obviously, my company also has a bunch of men working there too. So kind of learning to navigate within my company and beyond has been really, really important and helpful for sure.
Mhm. So you just talked about what's been the toughest part of your journey. Was there like any mistakes or any learning moments that you think really shaped your career and made you into the person today?
Definitely. I mean, as humans, obviously, we are bound to make mistakes in whatever we do. And I used to get super in my head about making mistakes, but I had to realize that the only way to grow is to treat them as lessons and to use them to show up better the next time you're doing something. I don't think that anyone really has a career without any setbacks or even a life without any setbacks. And what matters is how you respond. So those moments of me messing up have definitely made me more confident and self-aware. I think that in the beginning, and I still catch myself sometimes doing it, I'll defer to whoever's around me and kind of be like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to handle this situation. Like, let me ask for help. And I'm not saying that asking for help is bad. I think that's also something I'm getting used to is asking for help.
Yeah.
But being able to have the confidence in myself to deal with the situation. And if I make a wrong decision, I'll learn from it and grow has definitely been something that I've been learning and trying to implement in what I'm doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good mindset to have, especially just learning from your mistakes. Because I know, just even with school or sports or anything, it's really easy to get frustrated, when you make mistakes. But I think it's very good to have a positive mindset with that. So now, looking ahead a little bit, when you look ahead in like next 3 to 5, maybe even 10 years, what are you most excited about accomplishing, and either in your current organization or maybe even beyond there?
I mean, ultimately, I don't know what's waiting for me in the next 5 years, but I'm really excited to build something super meaningful in the girl space. I'm excited to be able to use the platform that Made has to give young girls the bigger opportunities through the competition that we have, the exposure that we have, the community also that we're building. And ultimately, I have the opportunity of a lifetime to deepen Made's impact, but also my own impact across the board and build those meaningful relationships with coaches, with parents, with athletes, and whoever else. Every day that I talk to coaches, I'm always talking about the importance of bringing authenticity and care back into AAU and sports in general. And I'm very, very passionate about bringing my fresh eyes and my fresh energy into youth sports. And so, wherever that path leads, I'm really excited to take it.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot about women's sports, and how do you see that evolving in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you think it's going to be like really close, in terms of how? I mean, obviously today, like just the pay grade compared to men's sports is obviously significantly lower. How do you see that? Not only the pay grade, but just sports media coverage increasing over the next 3 to 5 years.
I mean, it's very interesting because with everything that's been happening, I'm not sure if you've been following, but with the WNBA and the pay conversations that are going on, there have been a lot of high tension conversations around it. And in that gap that women athletes are experiencing, a lot of different leagues are coming up, whether that's Unrivaled. I know that there are a bunch of other ones that are kind of looming, about to be announced or coming out. So I mean, I'm also very excited to kind of see where that's going to lead. Will that result in the WNBA raising those wages and giving their players more opportunities in that space? Like, maybe, but if not, there will definitely be someone there to fill the gap, especially in this exciting time of women's sports and the boom that they're getting. Like, there's huge business opportunity here too. So I can only imagine that it's going to be really interesting to see where that leads.
Okay, yeah, that's just over the past few years, definitely seeing like the women's sports side of basketball grow has been really interesting to watch, and especially the media coverage, like I've mentioned multiple times with Caitlin Clark, Angel
Yeah.
Reese is very cool to watch. And just shifting over to yourself, how do you see your role evolving, and what impact do you hope to make in the sport and business in that time frame? Because I've seen that you've been with Made Hoops for a really long time. Like, do you want to continue there, or do you want to get an even better role there, or do you want to like move to a different organization and get different like tastes in the industry?
I mean, I think for now, I'm obviously still learning and growing, and I'm very, very aligned with Made and the team that I have and the goals that we have. And so I can't see myself right now going anywhere else. Will my future maybe involve somewhere else? Maybe. But for now, I kind of just see myself stepping into more leadership roles as we grow the girls' side of Made, and just being able to shape the overall direction of the girls' game. I'm really hoping to keep building those genuine relationships, as I keep talking about, with the programs and the athletes that align themselves with our values. MADE stands for maximizing athletes' exposure, I mean, development and exposure. And so aligned with that and also the ideas of authenticity and community that I've been talking about. But the impact that I want to have is ultimately pretty simple. I want to create opportunities that haven't existed. I want to support young athletes and just help create an environment in sports that's very impactful and gives kids, whether they're in the sport or not, that idea and that confidence to take into the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's really inspiring, and I really love the mission which you have just to help others, and obviously working at Made is like a perfect situation for you because they both of you guys align with the roles. So, for my final question, what is some advice that you have for my audience who are especially trying to get into sports business industry and really like deciding what they want to do later in life?
I would say that I have two things that I tell people when I talk to them. One is no matter what room you're in or who you're talking to or what's going on, always be curious, ask questions, and just have a hunger to learn about the person that's sitting across from you. The best opportunities in sports, in life, whatever it is, come from that genuine connection that I've been talking about. And really the want to understand the things and people beyond face value. I would say that's number one. And then the second thing is my advice would be as you go through school and beyond, pay attention to what really excites you. I think that that's a basic thing that a lot of people talk about, but it really is important to take the time to notice when you're talking about something for hours on end. That type of work, those topics that are giving you that energy is really what you should be doing, because if you end up in a career path or a job that you really don't like or don't see yourself doing, it's very easy to get burnt out and not do a good job because you don't really care. And so once you find that spark, it makes everything a lot clearer and more manageable and easier because you're actually passionate about it. And so you automatically feel like you know what you're doing just by having that energy to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, especially me being in high school, obviously I'm like, quite a bit away from, being in the workforce, but I think it's really cool that like a lot of people, just get to do what they love, and especially for high schoolers, just figuring out what that is gonna be a big part of their life. So thank you so much for that. And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Business Behind the Game. And huge thanks to Pietra for sharing your story and insights. And you can check out her work through the links below. And if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. I'm Kishog, and I'll catch you next time.